Hi, hello, and welcome everyone to the season 2 of the Join John series. I'm John Vincent, co-founder of nicheBrains and the host for this session. Just a quick brief about nicheBrains. nicheBrains is a modern consulting platform which is aimed to democratize digital transformation for micro, small, and medium enterprises. Our platform enables leaders of SMEs to connect with industry veterans on demand to accelerate their growth and transformation. In the first season, we actually talked to a lot of industry veterans who have guided MSMEs on various digital transformation initiatives. In this season, I'll be joined by some of the top industry experts, discuss primarily on the empowerment of freelance consultants through different tools, insights, and opportunities. So, for this session, first session of the season 2, and I'm very happy to have Lakshmi, the co-founder and CEO of nicheBrains. So Lakshmi needs actually no introduction, but just, quickly, let me give him a very quick intro that, he's a veteran entrepreneur with a penchant for customer success. He's an INSEAD alumnus and also an executive coach on digital transformation. So welcome to today's interaction, Lakshmi. Great to have you with us today.
My pleasure, John. It's always a pleasure. While we are interacting on daily basis in office, I'm sure this is a different forum for us to have a conversation on a topic that is important.
Excellent. So just getting on to the topic for today, Lakshmi, we hear quite a lot about Chat GPT today, right? The attention it's gaining, the impact that it's creating probably in different fields, the competition that's propping up, day in, day out. We hear that there's a competitor for Chat GPT, which is coming up. So in general, at least, as a naive audience, probably I know that if I type a query or a question, it gives me a very nice, formed nicely and simple sentence and understandable format. But the question always, lingers in terms of how does this really work? So, I think probably that's something that we can start off with, Lakshmi.
Yeah, that's a great start, John. The first experience for me with Chat GPT was when I was attending a Singularity executive program about 12 months back, where the lecturer was asked, basically he was asking us to stop recording or taking a picture when he was explaining about Chat GPT, because it was at the time kind of a very secretive initiative, and he just wanted to make sure that nobody takes it out, because that's because of the nature of the initiative it was actually speaking. And just to get a very easy explanation for Chat GPT, I'm sure that many of us would have watched a lot of sci-fi movies. One is Matrix. I think that's coming of age movie for us. And in that Matrix, Keanu Reeves plays a role of Neo. And in one of the scene, he tells his friend Trinity to load Kung Fu into his mind, actually.
Yeah.
So if I have to say that the Trinity is the Chat GPT is thing which helps basically to load programs like Kung Fu, and the UA is nothing but it's kind of the wires that goes into the Neo's brains actually. And the moment the Kung Fu program is loaded, he becomes the expert in the matter of seconds, and just after a few hissing and buzzing sounds. So just for as a metaphor, this is what is Chat GPT is basically, but a little bit getting in more on the technical aspects of it as to what it is and all. So it's basically a technology product where GPT stands for a generative pre-trained transformer. So again, this belongs to a class of technology called large language models. Again, this in turn is a subset of machine learning. And as you know, that machine learning is part of artificial intelligence. And it's important for us to understand this kind of a hierarchical structure, because like all the machine learning, Chat GPT also does basically one thing, and one thing very nicely. It looks at a large amount of data, finds pattern in those data that it goes through, and then uses those patterns to make prediction. So in case of Chat GPT, the prediction it's making is basically, as you rightly said, you are giving a text, you're asking a question, you're giving an input, and what is the output text that's most likely to be useful to you. So again, if I have to take another example, I'm sure when we were kids, we were in a high school or in some of the competitive exams where you see a series of pictures like, first there is a star and then a triangle and then circle, then again a star and then triangle, and then asked to guess what is the next shape is. So that's actually exactly how all these, kind of a machine learning works as such. And it's generative machine learning algorithm because it generates text trying to predict what it is that you would like to see, given what you have prompted. So suppose you are asking like, what is the future of XYZ industry? So based on the various research and various patterns it has recognized, it tries to generate the answer. And it's also because it's a pre-trained. That's why it's also called as like, it has gone through a lot of data, which has been kind of huge amount of text which is available in the web, in the internet, and all since till September 2021. Plus also large corpus of different books and various articles, various ones. It has used that as a training training data, and had huge amount of information on which it got trained, and it uses a particular algorithm called like transformer. So it's just basically, the transformer algorithm has like huge amount of parameters that goes into train. And I was, what I understand is GPT-3 had about 175 billion parameters to really train and then predict. And GPT-4 has more than trillion different parameters. So while we understand this is how the technical wise it's explained, it's also important that Chat GPT is not the only one that is in prevalent while we keep hearing about, but there is also things like Bard from Google and Bing AI from Microsoft and many more other products which are similar to that as well.
Yeah. So because you mentioned about Bard from Google, the Bing AI from Microsoft as well, right? So there are so many such technologies, they're getting like released. So why exactly is ChatGPT alone getting most of the attention in the last few months?
Great. So it's again a fantastic question, John. See, ChatGPT is basically, as you said, it's a large language models where it takes about a huge amount of text, processes with billions of parameters, and over a period of time, it's going to increase. As already it has a huge amount of capability, but it also will have more and more capabilities to deliver efficiency in operations, generate new ideas, discoveries, and insights. And possibly that is not really attainable before in any of the possibility. It might used to take years and years of research to get these details out. And just to take an example, prior to 2000, if you want to do a research on about any topic, possibly you will go to library for a reference book or go through countless number of paper clips and have a professor or have a university guide who will spend time with you. Number one, it takes time, efforts, and cost. That's what pretty huge. But post 2000, you look at it, you still do these things, but when you want to do a reference or not, you used to go to Google and you search for what you want to see. It brings out millions of pages of information and ranks based on certain algorithm, right? And then you basically take out those links and then still need to do those analysis, put in those efforts to get those research out. But today with ChatGPT, with right prompts, you can do help with search. It can scan those search information with the key insights that you want to have it, and also predict based on those insights what is that it is possible. And so I know it just basically it changes the way. I would like to borrow here the famous celebrated author Thomas Friedman's, and let me quote his words. So this is one of those moments in history when certain new tools like this, ways of thinking are introduced that are such a departure and advance on what existed before that. So you can't just change one thing here. You have to change everything. That is how you create, how you compete, and how you collaborate, how you work and learn. All these things are going to change. And I can say that we are at the beginning of such phase. So putting it simply, I would say that this is like AI on steroids.
I think it's a very neat statement, Lakshmi, the AI on steroids. Yeah. So, but how does this, the overall perspective of things, how does this change the way business is being done?
Right. See, from when we really look at from the business point of view, see, we all come across these industrial revolutions, and all of the industrial revolution which happened in the past are driven by single inventions like, a printing press, which was Industrial Revolution 1, and then the steam engine. But this time we are in a technology super cycle. It's not just one technology super cycle, but then multiple technology converging into really what, again, in the name of Thomas Friedman, I will again, because I like this writing, we are in the age of, I would say, acceleration, amplification, and democratization. So now before, kind of we had access to so much amount of tools like this that amplifies the power and at a very accelerating rate. So it's also like you and this is also like available free for the human to consume and use. And tools like Chat GPT basically are the foundation models, which basically has lots and lots of information that one can easily access, and upon which a new breed of applications can be built and then made faster available to all different set of people. And if I have to really take a simple example, I mean, just as to in this case, let's say you're creating a website. And today, what you really need to know, there is a website, you want to really have an online presence being done. So you start with an outline and then create what are the different pages and what kind of content it has to have, and then graphics to use, and then create HTML codes or some tools, and with different technologies that is available. If you have to really have these, possibly it takes days and if not weeks. And also before you launch the website or a specific things, you also want to really have kind of an email or a social media campaign. So in this case, what happens is that you need to have different set of people you have to coordinate, or you need to put in more time, like maybe 10 days or so to get this into a shape if you're going to work on leveraging all kinds of digital tools. But now with the tools like Chat GPT, your productivity gets increased. One can create this kind of a market positioning document as to what you want based on the objective of the website, how you want the pages to look like. You just need to give a prompt, and then it can basically recommend you how best to position. I mean, possibly you want to have a kind of a email campaign, and also you can say that what your logo want to be, and then it can give you a kind of a description of it, and so on and so forth. So what you have is basically what might take about a week or 10 days. You might even complete it in about 30 minutes. A kind of a rough draft is ready, and possibly you might be able to have review and go through it, and then get a final thing which can be executed in a matter of 2 days. So you just imagine about kind of saving of efforts, cost, and time to get from the idea to executions in a very shortest time frame available. So this is where I see that the business is getting impacted, and the way the business now I would say that is done is definitely will change. And the key is now basically tools are till now, if you really see all these technology tools or any technology, keeping in mind that it's only available for skilled people, they should be able to train and then use it. But that with the tools like ChatGPT, it's like with people with not really having a kind of a very great technology background or a technology know-how, with just a natural language, like kind of a conversational like language, like we are speaking itself, they can become a superhuman. That's the kind of impact it can create on the business, John.
Yeah, since you touched upon how it can enable people as well, right? In terms of making them a superhuman, and it gives them knowledge. So let's little bit take this one notch up, Lakshmi. So we look at the let's look at the evolution of tools like this ChatGPT. What kind of impact it can specifically have towards experts in different fields? So when we look at really a business consultant, right? Probably from a different a specific industry or a client base, it completely varies. So however, there is a general basic idea, probably, what's the day of life of a business consultant? Maybe I can put it like, say, that could be like a planning and preparing, probably for the day, week. They probably with they're probably with respect to emails, responding and preparing for meetings. So when I say meetings, it could be with respect to clients, either in person or virtual. And these meetings probably they can include like presentations. There can be problem solving discussions. And then we go into probably they are into next part of their day typically goes into research and analysis, which could involve researching on industry trends, like studying financial reports or conducting market research. Okay. And obviously the client communications, which they do probably do via phones, emails. And now obviously they do quite a lot of client, collaboration and networking with colleagues and other professionals. and probably attending industry events or conferences. And finally, they also have some administrative tasks like, updating probably their project timelines, sending invoices or tracking expenses. So overall, if you look at it, this is a typical, life, of a business consultant, right? Probably it's busy and dynamic, and it requires like strong communication, problem solving abilities, right? And also deep understanding of the business principles. So how do you really see, Chat GPT kind of, tool? Can it really disrupt, the consulting atmosphere itself, or how it's going to impact the experts, or is it really even possible for such a tool to impact the experts?
A great question, John. I definitely see the consulting as an industry has been more than 100 years. It's not been disrupted, and typically the kind of work the consultants or the experts that they do can be possibly classified into kind of two categories. And I would put this more like a 0 to 1 and 1 to n. Like 0 to 1 is more like something which has an idea, which is basically a great problem, and it's more an entrepreneurial, creative, something building new stuff, building new initiative, which was completely a groundbreaking ones, where you identify something new and then start working on it to launch a new kind of initiative. This is, I call it as a 0 to 1. The second one is kind of a 1 to n. There is something which is proven, and you want to make it more efficient and possibly scale it to a multiple tune and things like that. See, this is what is normally when any organization does not have those internal capabilities and they wanted to bring in an external perspective. They engage consultants for these. By and large, we can classify these kind of two works, and that's where a platform like nicheBrains wants to help SMEs to connect for these kind of initiatives. So basically, if you really see that, the role of experts like these is to bring these kind of any new ideas to life based on the problem statement and the business context as such. So I would say that it's going to disrupt. And is it going to replace? And I can definitely say that it's not going to replace, and we can also talk about it a little later on that. But it will augment and enhance the way the experts work, and it's in an exponential way. And let me take few examples. I would say that there are of course multiple use cases. I'm sure we can spend good amount of time on that. So I'm going to take a couple of scenarios. One is on the productivity aspects, because that's one place where it can definitely enhance the role of work of experts. The second one is on the complex nature of consulting as such, the consulting when it is done. So let's say that on productivity, the easy low-hanging one will be to basically have Chat GPT eliminate the writer's block. And in our experience, when we talk to experts, one of the bigger challenge experts faces in terms of communication or copywriting on having those collaterals done. So possibly if you in case if any experts wants to have some kind of a specific thought leadership to be done, the simple way he can start is that ask tool like Chat GPT to give him an outline and possibly given content also. And then he can take that as a starting point, and he can contextualize specific to his domain area, specific to his business case, and make it more a persuasive writing. And also tools like Chat GPT can change the tone, can make it professional. Those kind of add-on things are possible, so that whatever is there in the expert's mind can be communicated effectively to the target audience. This is a very simple way to start with. The other way I see the productivity enhancements can basically to take a help. Let's say, for example, he goes and meet customer for a kind of client meeting. There are a lot of notes about he takes it, actually speaking. Now when the tools like ChatGPT definitely kind of take those customer notes and possibly write a key summary of those meeting and then generate and then give it, which basically saves the time. And take those customer notes, have those key insights, and then create a detailed report based on, if he wants to, based on the customer needs, he also wants to include for that customer need, he wants to really summarize the business scenario and what are the key trends with the data which is available in the public domain, which otherwise what he needs to be doing, he has to search, spend amount of time and get those information. But with these tools like generative AIs of Chat GPT, he can just prompt and he can get that one. What is important here is that he also needs to verify whether it is applicable for his scenario. But then you get time saved and create that kind of detailed report. And from these detailed report, one can also convert it into giving those kind of detailed reports and convert it into a simple proposal or a PowerPoint presentation, which can be presented to the kind of in a customer meeting. So what happens in this whole part is that what used to be considered as more like a skill job, like minutes of meeting or generating email or a persuasive one, all these things are given. Now, what happens is that it basically helps them to focus on what his strong areas are, which is consulting in domain, while the rest of the things are being augmented by tools like ChatGPT. It acts like more like it's this kind of a virtual companion. And this is more like a productivity hack, I would say, the productivity tool. Now, if we really have to take a kind of a complex situation, what happens? Okay, this is productivity, but how ChatGPT kind of tools can help in terms of consulting engagement. Let's say that the consultant is working on a kind of a strategy engagement with the client. He wants to formulate a strategy for digital transformation. And as we know, that strategy is all about having different ideas and trying to do experimentation and evaluate which one goes and which one to select, and finally communicating in a way that like a story, right? That's all about the whole thing is about. There are different phases without getting into the details. So the best strategies are always about kind of creative and counterintuitive. While if there are ideas to be generated, the default way for the consultant to see that, hey, go to the different people or search what are the different ideas, and then whatever is available and accessible immediately is only available to him as new ideas. But tools like ChatGPT, if you're prompting ChatGPT with, okay, what are the ideas on this domain and which are not really kind of count, or you can also formulate in a way that I wanted to associate which is not at all in this domain and create a new idea for this particular industry. So the kind of GPT can give you that kind of suggestions, and one can take that kind of ideas and then see how that can be applied and then start working it. So you have a start. So that's kind of different untested ideas can be taken, and he can apply his expertise on it to choose what are the ideas that one can do. So once the ideas are sketched, naturally the next step is that what are the ideas to be prioritized and then selected. So this is where that experimentation or a kind of a multiple scenario, should we go on this way or another way as well. So this is also another place it takes quite a bit of time. So in scenario planning, one can prompt in terms of saying, describing a situation and then applying, if we are going with this idea, what kind of a possible outcomes and what kind of possible responses we want to get it, or what can happen, which basically helps in terms of getting that raw experimentation done before even you start actual experimentation being begin. And finally, what happens is that once you do complete the experimentation stage, you also wanted to really see that what kind of engagement model for a specific evaluation or a specific strategy that needs to be fine. So here the whole idea is basically it's all about the speed. So once you are having that speed as part of it, in this kind of again in the kind of a VUCA, volatile, uncertain, complex world, the speed is your friend, and ability for you to launch, test, and new ideas is going to be your companion. And that's where the tools like ChatGPT can help the expert in terms of generating new ideas, experimenting, and evaluation. And finally, it's about the narrative, right? Because it's about how we can communicate in a persuasive way. So all this can sound very simple to listen and then say it's like a magic potion or elixir. But let me also tell you that this is not going to be achieved in one single step. It's also entirely up to the individual expert's experience and then judgment, because this is where in alignment with some of the things that whether it can replace or it can make you redundant, you have to master it rather than being a slave to these kind of tools, I would say that. So this is where the individual experts, the way you are able to ask question, because it does not, that's a ChatGPT or any of these generative ways will not give you the questions. Whatever is based on, if you ask something, then only it gives. So it's a rule based, right? So at the end of the day, but then the expert is in command, and the expert's experience and judgment and the way he is able to ask the question and digging deeper into that subject matter is where the differentiation is coming in and make this kind of tools becoming a better companion for them, John. That's the thing.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lakshmi. I think you had some very interesting use cases, probably pretty much on how experts can benefit here, and I think it really makes sense here, Lakshmi, when you talked about how they can look at for thought leadership, probably for customer notes. You put quite a lot of points in there as to how experts can really benefit from using Chat GPT. But then I just like to put probably it strikes me as well, right? When I just quickly looked at there are also quite a lot of limitations when I say from Chat GPT. Obviously, it's still in its nascent stage, right? So it's got its own limitations. When I say it probably lacks common sense, probably when you talk about inaccurate responses to certain questions or situations, because I've tried it completely told me something out of the totally a different answer to what I asked for. And then obviously when you tag it along with emotional intelligence, right, you cannot expect it to be empathetic, or it will have that emotional intelligence. So it cannot detect those subtle emotional cues or whatever we are actually thinking in our mind. And obviously it's got challenges with respect to, let me say, understanding context, probably especially when it comes to sarcasm or humor, probably. Then also it has I feel that it has some biased responses, like when since it's trained on a very large data set, right? The data can contain really can be biased, or it can be even prejudiced as well too. And if also it needs quite a lot of fine tuning, right? It's not trained for all cases. So probably some cases you might not even get an answer at all. So considering these limitations, obviously it's still good in what we are having. But considering these limitations, how do you see the future is looking at when we go for these kind of tools, Lakshmi?
Great, great. I think what all you said is perfectly valid, John. I think when we really look at it, as of today, the world is also, this is also pertaining to some of the questions that we received in the initial. So as of today, the world is actually divided into kind of both optimism and kind of a skepticism. So on one hand, there are claims that the technologies like ChatGPT and generative AI will revolutionize all aspects of work and life, because that's what is the kind of optimism standards, and also has a lot of use cases being built, and it's definitely continue to grow. But on the other hand, there are a lot of other things, great skepticism about limitation, not just the limitations, but also about its truthfulness and transparency, the ethical part of it. And lots of things are still evolving. So my my way to look at it for sure is that at some point of time, all these things will evolve and then reach a maturity. But there is also other way that there will be a hype cycle it has to go through. So as of now, my always way to look at it, how best to use before I see about from the expert's point of view, how we can use it, is that the best way to use the Chat GPT is you need to think that as that there is a strong human element is there. So we
Right.
as a human should be in control. We know what to ask, and also get the answer, take the answer that is generated by the AI. And that's where the process for evaluating whether to accept as is or contextualize or ignore it. So it's like, you need to treat them more like a good friend or a friend that you go for an advice, have some challenges, and the friend gives you advice, and it's up to you. Sometimes you take it as it is, but
Yeah.
sometimes you take those advice and then possibly a little bit tweak it for your own needs. No, that's how you should possibly consider Chat GPT. But again,
Right.
from the experts' point of view, I believe, I mean, they must embrace tools like this, because if they are, I mean, most of the experts also could be left behind if they are not really using these kind of technologies to that, because for their best way, basically, if it is, if we have to really think about, is that it's a tool to augment and enhance experts' productivity. And today it takes text or image, but I'm sure that in future it can take multiple form of inputs and then provide also outputs in a different way. So it enhances the productivity, it saves the time and efforts, while the experts can focus on building what is good, building the skills that matters to the customer. So that's one of the things where experts can benefit in future. The second part of it is that experts can identify different his own use cases and leverage ChatGPT as a companion to reduce in terms of performing tasks as well. But the real benefit, as I see that, as I think as early as last week, I believe that they also released plugins or APIs and all, and with a lot of platforms which are going to come in, it's just going to be that there is a huge amount of experience the experts carries, 20 plus, 10 plus years of business facing experts. There is a pattern in which a specific work is performed. Now, can he change those, or can he kind of transform those kind of patterns and his own unique consulting into a tool or a solution which can possibly used by many people, and it provides a kind of a non-linear revenue growth for him? Apart from his own consulting, can he also kind of release it as a solution for the people? And that's where tools like, that's where transforming the way they do the consulting, and that's where the real transformative benefits for experts, and they can realize the full potential in future, John.
Wonderful, wonderful, Lakshmi. So yeah, so any final comments that benefits that you'd like to share with our audience, Lakshmi?
Yeah, so with respect to, I always say that this is how I believe that from an, again, maybe because the conversation, there are many benefits that we can envisage, but from an independent, from a freelance consultant point of view, definitely when used correctly, it can be a time saving and increasing the productivity of the experts. It also provides access to expertise, right? When you're prompting with the right question, it is able to give those kind of information, which is with respect to an industry or a new technology or a specific kind of a data. And the other way to look at it is also improving the productivity by automating certain tasks, then providing real-time recommendations and insights as well. And and then finally, I would also say that it's going to be cost effective and also communicate better. So these are the ways which I believe that it can help experts benefit by leveraging Chat GPT or tools like Chat GPT. That's my take on that.
Oh, thank you so much, Lakshmi. So I think it was a informative interaction, actually, Lakshmi. So with that, let's just open it up for some of the audience questions as well. I think we already had one question from Kishore, right? So he was asking questions like from Tim Cook, Elon Musk, Steve, all believe AI will end the human race. So what's your take on that? So that's probably the question we can start off with.
Okay, so yeah, so I would always say that, see, I think while people like Tim Cook, Elon Musk, everybody says that it's going to end the human race. This is what we also talk about, optimism and skepticism. I'm sure that there will be a kind of two kinds of stand, that is, and there will be a kind of governance or kind of policies to handle such situations will come in. And the same was the stand taken when any new technology or a groundbreaking thing came in the past also. So we believe that it's not going to be the case. And also, this is my personal opinion. Again, only the future can tell. But when it is used, artificial intelligence can definitely enhance human race as a whole. That's my personal opinion. And we only need to wait and see how things evolve as such.
Wonderful. So I think there's one more question from Neeti as well. So she's asked, how do you plan to integrate your platform with Chat GPT, right?
Yeah. So great question again, Nitin. I think thanks for asking this question. So one of the things that we are definitely looking at leveraging AI in general, and also possibly one option could be Chat GPT, is to help SMEs diagnose their problems and help them prioritize the strategic recommendation. And this is where nicheBrains as a platform will enhance and accelerate growth and transformation for SMEs, and in that process also enhance the productivity of experts. And we are definitely considering that, and then we are also working towards that, Nidhi.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Lax.
Okay. Yeah. So there's one more question from Joshi, right? So wouldn't creativity in terms of literary tools get affected by these NLP techniques? Sadly, it can emulate Shakespeare or Keats, right? So
Very good question. I think I think about a week back, I think it's also available for free download. Reid Hoffman, in collaboration with Chat GPT, released a book. I missed the name of the book. I can possibly share on the LinkedIn page. And it took him about, I think, a very less time, where he was prompting on a topic and then Chat GPT was generating. So now, again, Reid Hoffman's stand was that it helped him write a kind of book, and he felt it good. Now, as you also rightly said, there's also other set of people who consider this as a plagiarism, right? Because there is a lot of when people like Shakespeare, not just Shakespeare, there are so many books which is taken as a inputs, and when authors spend years and years to get a book out, whereas with the help of ChatGPT, anybody can write, and naturally, it is going to take or change the way the traditional books also is going to be, I would say that are written and published as well and consumed as well. So in this kind of thing, how do we balance? This is where the individual judgment and individual thing. If you're good in terms of can anybody write a book? Yes, it's possible, but then can it be read by others? Because again, as I said, it's all about the prompt that you're doing. The expertise and the judgment of the individual makes a lot of difference when the output is generated. So maybe people can publish the books, but if they are not having the background and then the expertise on that, maybe the outcome may not be good. So that's my take on this. Of course, yeah, as of today, you can always hack and get possibly close to best outcome, but that's the way it is today, Josie.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think Shailendra also has mentioned book by Hoffman.
Yeah, improv. Yeah. Thanks for it.
All right.
Yeah.
Right. So, Atharva, you had one other question, right? I think somebody had posted in your group in the.
Yes. It was just about the past and future of ChatGPT. So, what are your thoughts on past and future of ChatGPT?
Past and future. See, again, when I think over a period of time, ChatGPT is only available to the general use, I think only for 4 months back. The past is always that it started developing, it is consumed, and also it is based on what called as that reinforced learning based on the human feedback. So more and more people interact with these tools, more it gets trained, and then the new kind of output gets generated, and that's where the different releases. So last version was as of September 2021 trained model, and as we really see the future of ChatGPT or any tool, generative AI. So I would say that one of the ways to think about it could be to see that it's only a text or it takes images. Today ChatGPT 4, it also takes us an image. But today the output is only the text. Can this be changed into multiple outputs as videos or other kind of formats and communication as well, as much as possible to improve different kinds of ones? This is one. The second one also could be to say from idea to the end product, can it have that initial version being coming out? This is the second. So the use cases are numerous, and that is where I would also see that it will have to work, or rather I would say that it will possibly working alongside with the human expertise to get different use cases coming out, and possibly that's where the future lies. That's my take on this question.
All right. Any other questions? Anybody can unmute and shoot it out.
I have a question.
Sure. Go ahead.
So in fact, two questions, Lax. Sorry. So one is, I mean, I'm sure you would be already receiving a lot of user cases through your platform as well. So one question is regarding user case on healthcare. If you could share what are the potential user cases that you're seeing. Second is because technology gives a lot of empowerment. So are there boundaries to it in terms of regulations? If not, still, is there something which is in plan based on your knowledge and understanding?
All right. Again, so I'm not a healthcare expert, but I'll try to see. Definitely, I would say that in terms of research, the tools like ChatGPT, because again, there's so much amount of data which was taking a day, inputs, and that is where in the research of some of the initiatives it's been used. That's the only level, and I'm not. I would say that I'm not competent enough to take a question on healthcare, but in general, there is definitely a different kind of use cases are definitely available, Niti. I mean, I can always little bit spend some more time and then possibly share with you as we go forward as to where it can, where the tools like this can be improved. Now, coming to the other part of the ethical or the governance part, this is the most debated. I think even before 1 year back, also when I was participating in Singularity program, which is where all these kind of exponential technologies are kind of tested and then kind of thing. So the bigger challenge is always is that can it be openly available, or can it be made? I mean, I think as we speak today, there was a call for slowing down or putting a pause on these kind of technologies to really go on a fast mode adaptation as well, because there is no policy guidelines or been in place. So I would say that my take on this would be is that it's just a matter of time before either be it a government organization or kind of a policy people will coming in to put in place a kind of a boundaries, because that's how it's going to happen, and it's just for sure it will be regulated at some point of time. That's my opinion on this, Niti.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Any other questions that we have to Lakshmi? I'm sure Lakshmi is there. He's very happy to answer probably. Okay. I think probably everybody's started. I think there's a lot of things that we've conversed today, Lakshmi. So there's so much to take in for people as well. So I'm sure season 2 has really kicked off, Lakshmi, with this session. It was a wonderful conversation with you. I'm sure we'll have more conversations going forward as well. So once again, thank you everyone for, and this is John signing off, and we'll see you soon in the next episode of Join John with another interesting topic probably. See you for now. Bye.
Yep. Thanks.